Whew, what is going on, everybody?
Why the
Welcome
music's
back.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah, why
jamming.
did the
That's
hold on? Can you run
lame.
it back? Hold on. There it is.
Restart the
Right.
intro.
There it is. There it is. Let it roll. Let it roll. Man, oh man, guys, you can see four happy Celtics Talk Weekly members, guys. Welcome back into Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show presented by SeatGeek. Guys, the Celtics tonight, on the night that they raised banner 18 into the rafters with a lot of Celtics legends in attendance. It was a very special night, and the end result might have been a little bit more special for us Celtics fans. Guys, the Boston Celtics tonight absolutely dismantled the new look New York Knicks 132-109. We saw an absolute masterclass in a statement to the rest of the league tonight. Added Jason Tatum. There is a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. It's an exciting time. The Celtics coming back in such way. You guys know how this rolls, guys. Our initial thoughts, reactions, takeaways, overreactions. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say and have for me on tonight's Celtics win.
I think the Celtics went out there and handled business. Tonight was really the chef's kiss on last year's season, the final cherishing moment of last year, but we're on to a new season, and you can see the focus right away. There was no hangover from last year's championship. There was no comfortability. There was a new goal set in mind, and that's banner 19. And that was proven tonight when they went out against the New York Knicks, who are a completely remodeled team from last year. They made a few key additions, adding Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and they are supposed to be the team that was supposed to be a front runner with the Boston Celtics. And yes, it is game one, and they have plenty of time to figure it out, gain that chemistry. And I'm sure we're going to be dealing with them later on in the season. And I think it was just a great statement win by the Celtics. The Celtics were able to take advantage of the weaker defense. And when you say confidence, there was complete confidence from everyone on this team. They were feeling the banner. They were feeling that they were still hot from last year, and they just kept the ball rolling.
You say confidence, I say comfortability, and that's exactly how the Celtics look tonight right from the get-go. The Celtics look comfortable together, right? This is a team that was brought back, guys 1 through 15 essentially, brought back in the summer, and they played like that, and they looked like this all preseason long. And they showed that here opening night. I mean, first play of the game was a Jason Tatum three-pointer, and the threes kept coming. And just a tremendous game for the Celtics. Obviously, you know, the question's going to come, is that offense sustainable? I absolutely think it's sustainable. I mean, you watched the Celtics 82 games last year, and then they went 16-3 in the playoffs with this 3-point shooting, this high-power, historic offense, which we're about to witness. It looks like once again throughout the course of another 82-game season. But opening night, banner night, the emotions were running high. You even heard the TNT broadcasters give the Celtics credit. You know, usually teams on banner night, home crowd, kind of lay a big goose egg. The Celtics tonight, they didn't do that. They led by in the upper 30s tonight. And Randy, watching this one from overseas, it's been a late night for you, but definitely
Can we just let's appreciate something real quick for all you guys that are watching us? It is 4 a.m. right now where Randy is. So let's give Randy some, play it, Franco. I know you want to. Give him the round of applause. Like seriously. So shout out Randy for on his first regular season post game show.
I wasn't missing it. I told my dad today on a call. He was like, "Oh, you're not going to be able to make the podcast." I was like, "Dad, no. I'm making this podcast." I was like, "I would do anything for opening night. I would never miss this for the world." But in regards to the game, kind of what you said, comfortable, Justin, and I mean that's really what it was. Tatum came out, made a statement, 4 threes in the first quarter, commanded that offense, and I think tonight really all it came down to is it was a good old fashioned Beantown beatdown. That's really all it was. It was just a beat down from start to finish. we know, fourth quarter we wanted to get that record. So, and maybe got a little bit closer than it was in the first 3 quarters. But yeah, I mean that was just we wanted the record, but 3 quarters we just dominated start to finish, and yeah, great start for the Celts, and the Knicks kind of just, I mean, what it comes down to for them, I think, is they look like they had no chemistry, and I mean, can you blame them? I mean, they've been practicing as all of them, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, for, I mean, what's it been? It hasn't been much time at all, so it's going to take them some time, but I do think they're going to compete with the Celtics in the East. But good start for the Celtics, and we'll see what comes in the rest of the season.
Beantown beatdown is one way to put it. I'm going to call it a good old-fashioned ass whooping, because it was the
belt
Hey,
to
you said
ass.
keep it PG.
yeah. I appreciate the PG effort, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to script that title. It was a big statement to the league. They came out hungrier post-championship win than they did last year, following a heartbreaking Game 7 loss at home. And that speaks volume to where this team's mindset is, and in the coaching staff and the players, and what they want to accomplish and how much they believe in this team. Like Justin said, you're running it back. You're bringing everyone back. They have, a lot of faith in what the Celtics in this core has to offer. And I'll tell you what, if you're the New York Knicks, you can't get too down about this loss because of just what you fell victim to, right? And it was banner night. The crowd was, I mean, I wasn't in the building, but I mean, I know you could hear it through the TV. There was electric, and energy was high, and Boston came out and they wanted to make a statement, and they were absolutely able to do that. Just amazing performance from Boston, and Jason Tatum in particular. And we have to jump right in. Jason Tatum is your first ever SeatGeek player of the game, guys. Like I said, Celtics Talk Weekly is presented to you by SeatGeek. Guys, at checkout, use code Celtics Weekly to receive $20 off your first purchase. The Celtics are back. The NBA season is back. You got concert coming back to the TD Garden, guys. It is the perfect time to use SeatGeek for all your ticketing needs.
It ain't cheap.
It is exactly. It is my favorite app to use. Green means good. Red means bad. It's very easy, very simple. And a huge shout out to SeatGeek, guys. Now let's get into Jason Tatum. Justin, when we all summer long on our podcast, we talked about his 3-point shot and what needs to happen, and is there going to be a lack of confidence coming into this year, and what to expect out of Jason Tatum? Is an MVP, in the question, and all of these questions surrounding the best player, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it, on a championship caliber level team, right? What did you see out of Jason Tatum tonight that you absolutely loved?
Jason Tatum had arguably one of the most, if not the most historic offseason for an NBA player, right? Signs a big contract, NBA champion, gold medalist, cover a 2K, cover a Slam, cover a Sports Illustrated, Today Show. Like the list goes on for Jason Tatum. But what did the media focus on? The media focused on his DNP plays in the Olympics, his low minutes. That's what they decided to focus on in one of the most historic off seasons for an NBA player. Jason Tatum showed that he did not care. He absolutely does not care what the media has to say. He does not care what Steve Kerr thinks. He does not care what anybody else thinks. Jason Tatum went out there tonight and right from the tip, just absolutely played out of his mind. He looked, and it's funny, Rob, you mentioned the Celtics playing better this year coming off a championship than they did when they were coming off of that Game 7 loss, as well as that Game 6 loss against Golden State. Jason Tatum's playing like he's never won a title before. Jason Tatum's playing like everything. He hasn't already accomplished everything, right? So I just absolutely loved what I saw from Jason Tatum tonight. When you pulled up that graphic, it wasn't the 8 made 3-pointers. It wasn't the 37 points. It was the 10 assists from Jason Tatum. Listen, we know the points are going to come from Jason Tatum this year. We know that the rebounds are going to come from Jason Tatum this year. Just being 6'9", obviously that's just with the long arms and legs. The rebounding comes natural. But those assist numbers, baby, the playmaking numbers. That's why the Celtics went on to tie an NBA record in three-point shots tonight, because the Celtics playmaking was terrific, and it all starts with this guy right here in Jason Tatum.
I want to say, real quick, I'm sorry, Randy, I just want to hop in here. This game tonight looked the most comfortable Jason Tatum has looked within the Celtics offense in a long time. Between his shot, between his playmaking, his timing on reads, just everything looked so comfortable and so natural. His mid-range he was getting to everything. You saw a full-on masterclass out of JT, Randy, and I really do believe that's what, was stuck out to me, the comfortability in him.
Yeah. No. You're 100% right. And kind of what you said with just being comfortable. You could just see after that first three fell for Tatum, they zoomed in on him, obviously. But you could just like see it in his eyes. He was so dialed in. He looked like I was like, yeah, this guy might not miss a shot this game. He came out and we can talk about his shooting, his new form all we want, but kind of like you said, his playmaking ability. Look at those 10 assists, and we talked about this before we went on air, and he probably had close to 14 to 16 assists if you count hockey assists. He went out there and he played like a guy who had DNPs in the Olympics. He was angry, came out with a statement, and he commanded the offense. He had 10 assists. He had 37 points on I think it was 8 3-pointers, 7 3-pointers, something like that. I mean, the starters, we know what the starters did, 3-pointers wise, but Tatum he came out, he had a statement, and I think he had a great first game, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. I'd like to see those rebound numbers go up, but what are you gonna do about that? 37, 10 and 4, I'll take it for the first game, but great sign for Tatum, that new form. I mean, does he look slick or what? I mean, is he getting an extra
base,
2-3 inches off the ground? I feel like, I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Franco?
I feel like his new jump shot kind of more forms to his size a little bit more. His shot before was kind of fit his 18, 19-year-old body when he was around 225 pounds. He's added a lot of muscle in the meantime, and he's grown to get a lot larger. And I also think that what I saw tonight from Jason Tatum was, it didn't feel like the offense was running through him, and it didn't seem like he was stepping on any toes while doing so. When Jason Tatum usually is having those nights where he's trying to have a big night, you'll see the offense kind of either follow behind it and fall apart around it, but it looked like he was the main focal point, and he was really making his plays made and his presence felt. And usually we've seen him become that person who draws the double, opens up the shots for other people, and he did a fantastic job of that tonight. And I think,
and a lot of that, Franco, is, I think, in credit to his playmaking, right? And we've seen it in the playoffs. We saw it, last year on that run, and then 2 years ago, I think, is really where he emerged as like this, just phenomenal playmaker in that Miami Heat comeback series. That game 4, I remember, was the first game where I was like, wow, Jason Tatum here, like look at this domination where he just has control of the pace of the game. But tonight, it was his ability, like you said, to score within the flow of the offense, right? And then kind of like what Justin said earlier, where, his ability to read the double team, and it was bang, bang. It was dump down to the Horford, and then it was a swing to the open corner 3. If you're playing Boston and you're going to now decide to double team who is essentially the primary ball handler, right, in Jason Tatum, it's safe to say that they're going to kind of run their offense now, at least until Porzingis comes back, with Tatum, kind of running the show. that is what you're going to have to kind of deal with, right? If you want to try to stop Jason Tatum with sending two bodies at him, something you're going to kind of have to figure out is how can you rotate fast enough with the playmaking in decision making, which Jason Tatum has been able to, develop into and evolve into. Because I'll tell you what, 10 assists, guys, I think this year for Jason Tatum is a number that's going to be very normal. And that's scary to think about because, Tatum is a guy that's kind of been right around 3-4 assists per game.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing that people have kind of said about his game, yes, his shooting, but that's new, is can this guy become an elite playmaker, right? You see guys like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, even Giannis, LeBron, all these guys, they make players around them better. And I think, tonight was a great start for Jason Tatum to continue to make the players around him on his team better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jason Tatum is in this upper echelon of players who can just do just about anything on the court where he doesn't have many weaknesses, if any weaknesses at all. And remember, Rob, we brought this up in the last podcast episode. I can't remember. Maybe it was the last preseason post-game show. But either way, I remember you and I talking about it's like Jason Tatum's greatest weakness in his game is his three-point shooting. And he just shot 8 of 11 in opening night. And it's like that when Jason Tatum can figure out the consistency of that three-point shot, it's wraps. And we talk about the playmaking, which every year has excelled. We've seen his assist numbers slowly track in that upwards direction, that upwards trend. So we start to see those assist numbers go up as well as that 3-point percentage. And there's really nothing stopping Jason Tatum this year from winning that MVP award.
I can't remember the last time that I saw he looked so, all last year, even on his big games, right? And against Minnesota, the one that jumps out to me, he still looked a little uncomfortable at times. Shots weren't falling. There was a stretch where he'd go 5 minutes and, couldn't get a bucket or whatever it was. Yeah. But tonight he played 30 minutes and every minute he was on the court, it was just shot was falling. He was finding open teammates, making defensive plays. Everything. And I think that's huge. That's huge, especially with Porzingis out, that's big time.
It's funny. You mentioned his play, and it's like maybe he didn't have his highest scoring total game, but I would put this up there with one of his most, if not his most comfortable game, at least all around in his career. You've seen the 60-point games, you've seen the 40, 50-point games, but you don't see too many games where Jason Tatum is this comfortable within both the offense and the defense, and he's this engaged. And I think that goes a long way. Randy, you were about to
I was just gonna mention that what really was impressive to me, at least in the first half, was not only were the shots falling for the Celtics, but like you were kind of mentioning, Rob, Tatum was always finding the right pass, getting double teamed. It was almost like he had like eyes in the back of his head. He was getting double teamed from behind him, and he just immediately right away knew he was just going there. And there was a point, I think this was either second or third quarter late, when they came on and said every single one of the Celtics were behind the 3-point line, and it still, they couldn't defend it still. Like, they knew it was coming. They knew they want a three. They'll double team Tatum, and then they'll try and rotate over to Drew, and then they'll kick it open to Derek White in the corner. Whatever it was, and a big part of the reason I think the Celtics had such success from the three today is because how many of those threes were really highly contested? Like, a lot of these threes were I wouldn't say wide open. Yeah, I wouldn't say wide open, but for NBA shooters of this caliber, I would say most of those threes were pretty, fairly open. And like I said, due to the fact that they were bang bang, like you said, Rob, just they knew where they were, and that goes to chemistry. Joe Mazzulla, they've been together for a year, right. So yeah, they just knew what was going on. They got open shots and they hit them.
Why wouldn't this offense be sustainable throughout the course of an 82-game season? Listen, here's the thing: you're not gonna hit you're not going to hit 33s a game.
Yeah.
You're not going to hit 33s a game.
It's not happening.
My
Nope.
point in saying that this offense is absolutely sustainable through 30 game or through an 82 game season is how the offense is being played. This offense, being able to play 5 out with essentially any lineup that the Celtics throw out there, they could play 5 out essentially. They could space the floor. The Celtics are not going to hit 33s a game, which that's the reason why the Celtics were up by at one point almost 40 points tonight. But they're getting the good looks. They can easily generate this offense on a nightly basis and get the good looks that they're getting. Now, and we talked about this a little bit last year when the Celtics really started to shoot, upwards of 40, 50 3-pointers. And Rob, some nights you'd even say, like, this isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. It's about the looks you're getting. So tonight, the Celtics shot, I don't know how many threes, mid-50s on 3-point attempts tonight. Go back and look at how many good looks were generated. Go look at how many were wide open. And we just mentioned it. That is sustainable offense. When Jason Tatum is playmaking the way he was playmaking, it is so hard for the defenses to guard this Celtics team. And I know we've won only one title, so I don't want to get too crazy ahead of myself and compare ourselves to the dynasties of the world.
Oh, here we go.
Look at the Warriors games. Go back and look at the Warriors games and look at how hard it was guarding Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and DeMarcus Cousins, all 5 out, playing 5 out. Look at it. That offense was so hard to guard.
So here's the interesting, because something I said before we started the show was Boston needs to probably win another 2 rings, right? If they want to
this conversation
to entertain this. But hold on. But let me say this, right? I mean, right? No, but I will say this though. I see there are heavy comparisons to how the ball moves, the play style in which the team's built around. I can agree with.
There's not a team since the 2017 Warriors. Maybe talk about the Rockets that can play this type of high level offense on a nightly basis.
Absolutely.
At the Celtics. Absolutely. That is what I'm comparing. I'm not comparing them to the dynasty of it, but to the play style
from X's and O's.
110%. This is a sustainable offense where I think the Celtics can continue to play at. I do really like, and I think, and we talked about this with Kristaps Porzingis coming back, I do really like that high post game where Kristaps Porzingis gets posted up at the free throw line and you run off the roll there. I mean, that is a really tough offense to beat. But right now, what I'm seeing for the Celtics, the threes aren't going to come in 30s like we saw tonight. But if you're going to get those looks and you're going to leave guys like Sam Hauser wide open, Peyton Pritchard wide open, Jason Tatum, it's good luck for the rest of the league.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something. I sorry, Frankie, you can hop in there.
Yeah. No, I think that just also when the Celtics aren't making those 30 shots a game, the Celtics offense is so versatile that once those shots aren't falling, they're going to be able to find those routes to the rim. And they have some of the best ISO players in the league on their roster. Right.
And, I think, and again, it's why my opinion on this has changed. I was sitting there, I was watching it, and obviously it's so nice when they go in, right? But there's going to be a lot of games this year where they're not falling, right? And, again, this is like the different view that you have to take as when you're talking about this, a team or however you want to talk about it, right? For an analysis or whatever it is, right? But covering a team, right? We'll call it the aspect is in the viewpoint has changed in a sense where, you can understand now. We've seen it out of Boston where they took a lot of threes last year, a lot of threes, but we saw them in the playoffs not rely on threes and a lot of times in a lot of big moments. So as a Celtics fan, and somebody who covers the Celtics, I think your perspective completely switches on these 3-pointers because, you have so many of these games and you now have the trust in the head coach and the players, right? To when it really matters on a night in which they're not falling, we've seen these guys adjust and make the necessary plays, right? So it's like, it for me, if you watched us last year, I was a very I was the Gary Washburn, it kind of felt like, of the group, right? Where, I was kind of always eyeing down that 3-point number, why are we going over this number? this year, my viewpoint on it has kind of changed where, what are the quality of threes that we're taking versus the number of threes we're taking? And, I think that's what it's all about. And, Justin, you make a great point, and same with you, Franco, about the versatility of this team. So, it's become a lot easier for teams, or harder for teams rather, to defend these guys. And somebody that I want to talk about in terms of defending them, who kind of goes unrecognized, it feels like at times, is Jrue Holiday. Tonight, right? You look at the box score for Jrue Holiday. He had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, right? And his running mate, the stock exchange, Derek White, 24 points as well. So it's like when you talk about, yes, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, we know how great they are, right? They have all the accolades, but these two players, Franco, are two players that the league can't really replicate. And it was on display yet again tonight against New York.
No, I mean, defensively, there was nothing that New York could really do against the Jrue Holiday and Derek White, especially with Derek White being able to catch the hot hand in the first half. When Jason Tatum was hot, and when you have one player on the Celtics hot, let alone 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 on occasions tonight, it's impossible to guard. Derek White was usually the person that was left open, and Jrue Holiday is such a Swiss Army knife for the Celtics team. He is guarding Karl Anthony Towns, and I heard who was on commentary tonight, Kevin Harlan. He was saying something about how, or no, it was Charles Barkley. He was saying something about how Karl Anthony Towns should feel disrespected having Jrue Holiday guarding against him, and that's obviously a statement by someone who hasn't watched enough Jrue Holiday defense. The fact that he is one of the best off-ball zone defenders, and he was taking the ball from the New York Knicks whenever they had a fundamental mishap. And that was popping up a lot tonight due to the chemistry. Sometimes it looked like it was the Knicks' first time being on the court together, even though they had preseason and training camp together. I think that the fact that Jrue Holiday is also capable of making those plays that a star player should, making the 3-pointers that are guarded and being able to cut to the paint and be able to create his own looks is something that it is just can't be taken for granted.
It's interesting. You guys mentioned Jrue Holiday and Derek White. We talked a little bit about them, how I honestly saw them kind of as the X factors this year, the glue that holds the Celtics team together, both on offense. And we know, they have obviously the best front court, I think, in the league in those two. But you mentioned, Franco, how Barkley was saying that it's a mismatch or it's a disrespect, right, having Holiday on Cat, right? And it's not only is that kind of, and not the best statement by Barkley, but I think not only does Jrue Holiday make up for it with his off-ball presence, I think even on ball with, Jrue Holiday, the second Cat puts the ball on the ground, that ball's getting stripped, or there's going to be a hand in there. And that goes to my next point, kind of. The active hands tonight from all 5 starters, guys on the bench, Pritchard, White, Hauser, everybody. They were getting steals. I mentioned to you guys, Tatum had 2 in the first quarter. Pritchard had 1. Holiday had his hands on, stripping everything. And I don't want to say I didn't see that last year because, they won the championship. I, can't really say much negatively about them. But coming out in their opening night, banner night, I definitely saw they were way more aggressive on defense than I've seen in the past, especially against such a good offense with this Knicks team.
I will say it was a weird, especially from New York. The outliers, and this is an outlier game, right? From both sides. You had Deuce McBride, I believe he shot, 8 for 9 from the floor, not 9 of 10, something like that. So it was an outlier game, right? Which again, there's a long season. There's gonna be a bunch of outlier games, right? So they're still a part of the year. You still talk about them, but I will say, defensively, I loved everything Boston did. despite New York shooting around like 60% entering the fourth quarter.
They shot 50.
Yeah, so
right.
So it was a weird game, and I'm going to call it an outlier game because, like, yes, they only scored 109 points, and a lot of credit to that is honestly the third string unit or second string unit that was out there. They got a couple of stops as they were kind of gun for that 3-point record. But I don't know about you, Justin, but I did like what I saw defensively for the most part. I do think the guards could have done a little bit better job at keeping the New York guards out of the paint. We talk about how there's a lot of pressure to keep them out because of the lack of interior defense. But I don't know if you liked, what you didn't like tonight. But I thought it was pretty solid. I'd give it like a B plus defensive grade.
I say it was very solid for the most part. I think the Celtics could clean up their pick and roll defense a little bit. Getting in the lane, Jalen Brunson got in the lane quite a bit of times tonight, but that's just what those crafty guards are able to do. I think the defensive comfortability is going to come throughout the season. Kind of saw this last year where the Celtics offense really came out firing, and then they took a step back and they're like, listen, like, we also have to really hang our hats on the defensive end, and that's really where we're going to want to try to win games, because we know us Celtics fans know best. You want to get deep into the playoffs, you want to make those championship runs. In the playoffs, it comes down to defense. So that's really what the Celtics are really going to hang their hat on this year. And you hear Jaylen Brown talking about how badly he wants to make first team All-NBA. You obviously have All-NBA guards in Drew Holiday and Derek White. And then obviously we talk about Jason Tatum just being able, we talk about his offense, but Randy, you mentioned it earlier in his, he's really taken a big step in his defense as well. So I really liked what I saw from the Celtics. And you talk about these outlier games. It's like you're a Knicks fan and you got absolutely blown out of the water tonight, but like you shot 55% from the floor.
Right.
And
it's like, it's an outlier game.
Like
it happened.
The Celtics had unreal night. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like this isn't going to be a normal thing, because I do think the Celtics are that dominant of a team. But at the same time, you're going to have those weird nights where it's like, okay, Celtics shot 5% worse than us, and we got absolutely blown out of the gym. You live with that,
Yes, definitely. And you talk about Jaylen Brown on a defensive end of the floor, and Randy, we've seen kind of Jaylen Brown take over the backbone of what the Celtics are defensively. And there was a play that stuck out to me. That was I want to say midway, maybe at the start of the third quarter here.
Third quarter, yeah.
And Jaylen Brown is picking up Jalen Brunson full court, up 25, and forced an 8-second violation. Right.
My goodness.
And there's not many superstars in this league who are willing to take that assignment and stick it on their chest, and to do it in a night that's been such a blowout celebratory night. So, when you look at Jaylen Brown, Randy, how important, we know how important he is, but what did he do tonight that sticks out to you, and what is he going to continue to do?
Yeah. So, I think we've all seen over the past couple of years, the development of Jaylen Brown. He took a huge leap last year. How much more could you want from the guy? I think he's grown every single year. And in regards to that play, Rob, what guards up 25 are full court pressing, and how much of that has to do with Joe Mazzulla? We know he is absolutely insane. Is he telling his guys, we're pressing, we want to blow these guys out, get up by 40, I don't care, we're keeping you guys? Like, we don't know what Joe Mazzulla is saying, but all I know is Jaylen Brown pressing full court up 25, producing a turnover or whatever, the 8-second violation, whatever it is. That just shows. I think Jaylen Brown makes a all defensive team this year. I think he takes another step defensively. We've seen him make insane blocks. We saw him strip Luka Doncic and then, scoop and score last. I forget what game it was, but he hit the three and then he picked Luka's pocket and got the layup in the playoffs. We've seen him do that. He has taken tremendous step on his offensive game with his left hand. We don't see him. I didn't see him get much criticism last year for his left hand. We know how much he did, in prior years. I think he's cleaned that up a bit. I think his defense, he's turned up to the next level. So now I think kind of he's just turned into an all around, like I said in our last podcast, he's just a freak athlete. I mean, he is the definition of a Boston athlete. He just has everything.
You just said something that I think is what makes Jaylen Brown so good all around. Yeah. On any given night, Jaylen Brown can be the best defensive player on the court or the best offensive player on the court. And there's not many guys in this league who you can point to and say, yeah, you can do that, right? Maybe a 4 or 5 where they're the best offensive player and or the best defensive player on any given night. It's a very, very, valuable type of player to have. I mean, you saw that with players like Kobe Bryant is the style of player that you saw that with. So, I mean, very, very, very great point there. Something else I want to hop into here because I hate to do it, but there was one overlooming one thing that I didn't like tonight, and it was the backup bigs. They struggled tonight pretty clearly. Tillman, Kornet wasn't their night. Now I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. I do want to butt in first. Really weird play style. It didn't fit them at all. Kornet, Tillman are not going to, thrive in a game where teams are shooting a overhaul of threes and not many shots are going within the paint. So I'm not too worried about it at all. But again, game one, definitely a game where you kind of circle the backup bigs and you're kind of looking for them to rebound against Washington, I think.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Franco. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Luke was tasked with guarding Karl Anthony Towns. The New York Knicks were very small tonight. They were missing Precious Achiuwa, and they were also missing Mitchell Robinson. So I think this was a game that it was more of a 5-out game, and one of the games that Luke Kornet and Tillman don't really fit into the scheme of either side of the offense or defense, and I think they could just they'll find their opportunities against players that are just not 3-point threats.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to come matchup wise. I love X. I love Xavier Tillman. He seemed wild tonight. Like he seemed very like I don't know if it was jitters. I don't know if it was just kind of a weird matchup. He kind of seemed all over the place tonight. I like the rebounding. I still love Kornet in that high pick and roll, and when he rolls to the rim, I think I love watching that. But I think again, with the comfortability with these backup bigs will come as the season goes on. Not to throw any disrespect, but you mentioned we have the who is it? Washington next.
Right.
Yeah, Washington next. That'd be a great matchup. That'd be that'd be a great game to get Tillman and Keita and Kornet those reps, with all due respect aside. But I thought they had a great preseason. Now that the NBA season's here, I'm sure there were a little bit jitters tonight. And like you said, Rob, tonight was such an irregular game. I mean, when threes are going up like at the pace that they were going up for both teams, it's really hard to adjust when you're a guy who really isn't. That's not your game, right? So, definitely an off night. But as the season goes on, we'll see them kind of slot more into their roles in a more comfortable level.
Yeah, I definitely kind of just altogether just agree with what you guys said. I mean, I didn't love really Kornet today. I know when in preseason a lot of the teams what they were doing, they were running high pick and rolls, and it was 2-on-1 downhill for Kornet and Tillman, and they were struggling. I know Kornet thrived a little bit more on those little pick and rolls, but in regards to tonight, it was just a weird game altogether. Like you said, Rob, and to go with that, it almost felt like our guards were going, were driving on their bigs and their bigs were driving on our guards. So it was kind of like Cat was on, driving on Drew, and then, our small guys would drive. So it was weird. I liked Tillman a lot on the offensive end, but I didn't, they didn't really do anything for me defensively tonight. Cornette,
Right.
I don't want to say he did anything bad per se, but it just was like a, just straight line, just nothing great, nothing bad. It was fine. I don't know.
I'll be excited to see these two teams play again.
Yeah.
Because again, it was complete domination from Boston, right? And Boston, kind of
100%.
made their stamp right back on the league, saying, "Hey, listen, right back on the league, saying they're top dogs, right? There's no surprise about that." But again, like it wasn't a playoff feel, right? And again, you don't get too many of those games on a regular season. And historically speaking, when the Knicks and the Celtics play in game one, it is some high scoring, like crazy games. So, it is definitely weird. I will say, with Porzingis being out, a lot of my attention is going to go to the bench because, I do think that's like the one little, like, you got to be realistic here, right? Yes, in all honesty, right? The Celtics are my pick. I think they're the best team in the league and all this stuff, but there are some things to watch out through the course of an 82-game season. And my attention is still going to be on this bench. Is Pritchard, Hauser, Tillman, Cornette, right? Are they ready for the responsibility of being the bench core of a dynasty, right? And that's what it comes down to, and that's what it boils down to. And I think it'll be exciting tonight. I didn't love what I saw out of them as a unit, but again, there's a lot of time for improvement. And I'll tell you what, these games against Washington that we have coming up, guys, the first 15 games of the regular season are kind of a breeze for Boston. You got some sprinkled in, Minnesota, Milwaukee, and I think you see Philly once, and I think Indiana once. Right, exactly. And so, I'm pretty easy. It should be a great opportunity to get the bench, in rhythm and in flow.
You know what? That segment sucked. We just talked about how Luke Cornette didn't do a great job. I think Luke Cornette did a fine job tonight. Franco, could you please set the round of applause for Luke Cornette?
Give me a break.
Thank you. I don't hear it, but I'm assuming you're playing it. Thank you.
I think it did.
Thank you.
Well, hey, and I will say, but like again, it's so early, and it's just like what you saw last year gives you no reason to be like, we'll talk about it. It's so early. It's like we'll talk about game 20. If we're still seeing it 20 games in, then we'll be like, oh, like, what's going on? But like it's game one, so in all honesty,
I have faith.
Hey, I'm not saying I don't have faith.
I got faith in you, Luke.
I definitely have faith. But again, you gotta point some things out.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like right now these minutes with Luke and Tillman, like they're just up for them to lose right now. It's like who's gonna take that backup center role? Who's gonna lose it? I mean, that's really all it is.
I'll tell you what. What I saw tonight from Boston was complete domination, and to think that their third best player still isn't even in the lineup is wild. And it's going to be a great year ahead of us. And it was a phenomenal year to start. And I do want to say something. TNT, do better.
You guys
do better.
Suck.
I mean, I'll tell you what. And we didn't get to talk about. Oh, that's kind of a great night a great way to finish this post game show off is talking about Banner Night. Yes, it was amazingly done. The rings were beautiful. Everything was perfect, right? And then TNT had to just screw it up, man. You cut it off right as the banner's halfway through the air. So
it's so funny. I was watching on League Pass and I just see in the group chat, Justin's just like, "What did TNT suck?" I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "They cut out the banner raising."
Started raising the banner and it kicked to like a DoorDash ad, and it's like I don't care. Like I don't care about the stupid fees DoorDash.
And then it went right to Shabuzi. It didn't even show like a replay of it going up.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. At first, I thought it was like an error, like, oh crap, like we accidentally kicked ad. We'll swing it back. No, they just kept playing ads, and they went and they came back and they played Jamaican. Ridiculous. And like also like that's not the first time they screwed Celtics fans over. It's like when we were beating Brooklyn like 28-2, they like kicked it, they like took that game off and they like put another game on. Like it's like so stupid. Like the anti-Boston stuff needs to stop. It's so friggin' childish. It's wicked.
They hate us because they ain't us. They hate us.
No, it's just it's just terrible.
I'll tell you what.
Listen, we might never. Championships don't come often. No, they don't. They in Boston. I get it. They do. But I was 7 years old when the Celtics raised banner 18 or banner 17. It waited friggin' what? I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years to watch another banner. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so excited all day. I was so excited, like so emotional. I watched the 08 banner go up last night to prepare myself, what I thought could mentally prepare myself for tonight. And TNT just does that. I mean, they suck. Good thing. I love Kenny. I love all those guys. Good thing they're not coming back next year. And I think that has to do with what happened tonight.
How about this comment right here? Justin and TNT producers need to do a Magic and Isaiah's.
I love that.
They're banned. They are banned. Anybody from TNT is banned from Celtics.
I'll tell you, I did really, really, really like the petty cigars that they did. Yes. That was awesome.
Yeah. That was amazing.
We should Celtics talk. We should give out petty cigars to all the people at TNT on their last day.
I don't think that's in budget.
Their job.
Do that whole pregame show, the whole everything, recapping of the playoffs. That thing had me in tears. Talk about emotions. I was crying.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they did it. I will say, despite as much as mad as Justin is at TNT, I do think they did a pretty
lame. Good. Don't do it. Like if the Lakers go out and win it this year, I bet you they'll play every damn second of that.
They'll literally bring out a throne for LeBron and have him carried out.
They were like the 14th seed at one point, like a year or two ago, and Charles Barkley's like, "Why are we showing the freaking Lakers? They suck." They don't do that for the Celtics. The Celtics won 64 games last year, and they just
cut the banner off. Lakers ain't even making the playoffs this year.
So lame.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, I do want to say thank you so much for joining us in what is the first post-game show of the 2024-2025 NBA season as the Boston Celtics tonight go into the first game at home and absolutely annihilate the New York Knicks 132-109 in a celebratory win as the 18th banner was risen to the rafters tonight. The Celtics will face off against the Washington Wizards on the road Thursday, October 24th. Tip-off for that game will be at 7 o'clock Eastern time, guys. After the final buzzer sounds, head right back here to the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel, and we will have you covered for post-game live yet again. Guys, I'm Rob. Next to me is Justin. Below me is my man Franco, and the man who is currently sitting at 4:45 at night. The man with the commitment.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right outside.
French toast, baby. French toast every morning.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Cue the music, and as always, go.
TNT is lame.